Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Week 13 recap, the Week 14 preview for Warrenton's finest fantasy football league. We need to rename our league because we are definitely not the finest fantasy football league in Warrenton. But hey, we're here and we are ready. Guys, we're heading into the final week of the regular season. And it could not come soon enough for some of us. And for others, it has been a gloriously enjoyable season that will probably all fall apart as we enter into the playoffs. But let's go ahead and get rolling. So, week 13, what happened? Nothing good for your boy. I got smacked. Brandon, you little fella, beat me 135 to 77, and it just wasn't even really that close. Yeah, if we just take a quick look here. I mean, everything started out terribly for me. My best player on my team within the second drive on Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving Day, a day where players should be with their families, right, Matt? But no, they weren't with their families. They were away from their families and getting hurt, at least if they were my team. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 0 points, 0 targets, 0 catches, and I had 0 hope of winning this game. Even had he played, nothing good happened. DeAndre Swift, hey, 21 points. Thanks for nothing, pal. About time. Keenan Allen, biggest bust of all time. I'm never going to touch that player again. He burned me last year. I let Carlos fool me this year. But yeah, I was looking at it. We draft 13 players at the beginning of the year. 13. My starting lineup last week had only 4 players that I drafted playing. And it wasn't because of bye weeks. It was because of injuries and misfortune and just bad drafting overall and just bad luck. This has been a terrible year. I hate it. I hate it much. So much. And Brandon, just enjoying 29 points from Mahomes in a loss to the Cowboys. Most watched regular season game in NFL history. That's something. Anyway, so the Cowboys are doing well at least. That's nice. McCaffrey 15-31 from A.J. Brown. Also in a loss. The fact that you can get 60 points and basically beat my team, but 60 points from 2 losing players blows my mind. 18.2 points from your tight end, who also lost. Your team, we should have done a prop bet of like the most losses with a win, if that makes sense. Because your team did not do well in real life, but these players all did really well. And that's the trick. Your worst thing was the Ravens defense, 1 point against the Bengals. That was a surprise. But yeah, you crushed me. So enough about that. Thanks a lot, you jerk. All right, you're up to 9-4 in first place for the league. I am down to 3-10. So that nice 1-game win streak, if you can even call it that, you can't. But that was short-lived. All right, next up, Gone Fishing was taking on Creature, and Matt got smacked by the Creature. 158.8 for Sean, 21 for Dak, 16 for Henry, 21 for CeeDee Lamb, 25 for Rashee Rice. Bet you wish you had that back, Dan. 8.7 for Kittle, 19.7 for Harvey on the Broncos, 28 points for your defense. Your worst mistake was playing your kicker for 2 points, and your bench 10, 11, 20. You were just rubbing it in. But you haven't clinched a playoff spot yet, and Matt falls to 9-4. He had the chance to lock up the number 1 seed, and he did. No, actually, no, probably not. But still, you didn't, Matt. You fell to 9-4. Sean moves up to 7-6. A lot riding on this final week. Shoot, I had a joke from Matt. I forget what it was. Maybe something about running backs, but probably not. That one's been beat. That joke's probably over. But then again, probably not, knowing Greg and Sean and me. All right, next up, Greg taking on Dan Pond, and this one came down to the wire, and it came down to the wire of Dan. Wire you playing as many Giants players as you were playing. I have to cough. Good movie. All right, yeah, it came down to that Monday night game, the Giants and the Patriots, and Dan, all his hopes came down to W. Robinson. I'm going to say Will. Nope, Wandale. Okay, I was wrong there. And someone else I think he had. Yes, T. Tracy Jr. Let's see if I can guess that. Tyrone. Tyrone! Hey, how about that? I had no idea. Fantastic. And then, A. Borregalis. We're going to go with Antonio. The kicker for Greg. Nope, Andy. Could be Antonio, looking at that picture. Maybe Andy's for short. Anyways, it all came down to that. Greg's kicker needed to give him more points than the combo of a tight end and running back. And Dan, stop playing the Lions defense. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. -2 points this week, -3 last week. There's got to be someone better that you could play other than the Lions defense. You would have won, I think, last week, and you probably would have won if you just played a defense that would have scored you 3 points. That's 5 more points. You would have beat, well, you needed 5 more points to beat Dan. But stop playing the Lions defense. Get rid of them, because literally anybody else and you could have won. And you didn't. And so now you are eliminated. Greg moves up to 6-7, still hopes are alive for a playoff spot, hanging on by a thread. Dan eliminated. Welcome to the toilet bowl, buddy. Moving on, we had Michael taking on Jason, and Michael, finally, the luck runs out. Mr. Unlimited Vetoes at the Olave Garden. It came down to this one was a close one as well. 101.04 for Jason to 97.44, a 2.5 point differential actually. And Michael, if you had started a feud of Olave, the dude that you named your team after, you never start him. He had 12 points on your bench. You start him instead of Smith Najiba, you win, but you didn't, and you lost. Anyways, congrats to Jason locking up a playoff spot. Michael's also locked up a playoff spot. So really just seeding was on the line for those two. Both are at 8-5. Jason riding high, a 4-game win streak on the shoulders of Jared Goff, Puka Nakua. That was a crazy. Did you guys see that catch that he did? Amazing. And then they lose. They lose to the most unlikely of teams, the Panthers. Unbelievable. All right, congrats to you, Jason. Next up, we had Carlos taking on Steven. And Carlos, buddy, old pal, you were 2-6, I believe, when we did our ill-fated trade. And since that point, you've gone 4-5, and you are 6-7, and you technically have a chance to make the playoffs. And it's all due to me. 20 more points for A-Chan for you. You are welcome. That fella has just performed like a... Oh my gosh. This pains me so much. When I traded, in week 9, 13 points, which is fine. 41 points, 20 points bye week, 20.4. Oh man, what a terrible decision that was. Still can't get over it 6 weeks later, but that's okay. Anyways, congrats to Steven. Just kidding, you lost. 6-7. I just got mixed up. That wasn't supposed to be a burn, but anyways, Drake made 20 points for you, Herbert 12, so you made the right choice there. Congratulations on that. But yeah, Carlos moves up to 6-7. Steven moves down to 6-7. And both are technically alive for the playoffs, but we'll go over those scenarios in a second. The last matchup was a husband-wife. And Mike, you did what I needed. You defeated your wife with no mercy, 98-68. Hannah, your team, negative 0.4 points for Zay Flowers. That's not great. I don't even know what he did. Matt, how's it possible for a wide receiver to get minus yards? See if you can answer that question for me, pal. 1 point for your defense. You got 15 from old Bucky Irving. Your no, that's not your tight end. That is it's a running back. That's your flex. I don't even know what he is. But yeah, just the rest of your team, not great. And Mike, your team wasn't great either. You just did a lot better than Hannah, which honestly wasn't super hard. Hannah, you could have played Jordan Love. That would have netted you 15 more. That would have put you at like 83 points. And then if you had started... no. Oh yeah, the Bills defense, that's 16. So you could have won this game, but you didn't. But hey, Joe Burrows is back, 19 points. So glad you took him back and stashed him on your IR. Maybe you could play him next week. All right, well, congrats to Mike moving up to 7-6, but he has not clinched. Our defending champ has not clinched the playoffs. Hannah, officially eliminated, joining me. All right, that is it. Those were our matchups for Week 13. So let's take a quick look at our standings before we go into our scoreboard. In first place in the East, Matt clinched up a spot, 9-4. 14. I'll go through the points for it in a second. Jason, 8-5, clinched a spot. Then Sean is 7-6, and Greg is 6-7, both still in the hunt. Dan and I are eliminated, 5-8 and 3-10. On the West, Brandon 9-4 locked up a playoff spot. Michael 8-5 locked up a playoff spot, and then Mike 7-6, Carlos 6-7, Steven 6-7, all still in the hunt. Hannah is 4-9 and eliminated. So let's go into what our matchups are, because technically here we've got 2 playoff spots that are open. 2 more spots. 6 teams make it, 6 teams weep up from the outside. So if we look at our matchups, I am taking on Gone Fishing. Matt, you should probably rest all of your players here. There's nothing on the line for you, nothing at all, no seeding. Definitely not a first round bye. Just play your guys so they don't get hurt. You want to save them for the playoffs. But yeah, you projected to lose 112-82. I just keep having people be hurt. I'm forced to play Marcus Mariota. I just picked up this dude, Tyler Allgeier. Yeah, everyone just doesn't want to play for me in my final week. Kamara's out. St. Brown's out. Jackson Dart's out. Kevin Boots out. Singletary's out. My whole team is a big 0. Even if they play, they score me 0. So I'm probably going to lose. But what's on the line for me is if I win and Hannah loses and I score more than Hannah, which right now, Hannah, I have a 2-point lead over you for points scored for the season. And that's the tiebreaker over record for worst team or best team. If I win by a miracle and Hannah loses, not by a miracle, then Hannah would be last place. As it is, I don't think I will win. But Matt, you should definitely bench your people. All right, so that's what's at stake for that one. Matt is going for the number 1 seed, trying to get a lock up a bye week. More on that in a second. Dan Pond taking on ChatGB Lee. Only thing at stake here, again, first round bye. Brandon is the highest scoring team in the league, so right now he's the 1 seed. Dan right now projected to lose 83-103. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that one because I'm still bitter at Brandon. Next up, Jason taking on Greg. Jason is playing for seeding, though it's impossible for you, Jason, to get the number 1 seed. So really this is a meaningless game for Jason, but this means everything to Greg. Greg needs to win and have several other things happen to have a chance at the playoffs. Right now, projected Jason to win 100.2 to 98.01. So a lot riding on there for old Greggy. Next up, Steven taking on Michael. Steven fighting for his life. A 1% chance to make the playoffs because your team has just not scored a lot of points. So even if you win and all of the 7 and 6 teams lose and the other 6 and 7 teams lose, you would have to score like 250 points this week in order to make the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen. My condolences. A good first year in our league. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And then Michael projected 111 to Steven's 77. But, Steven, this will be easy for you to pick which quarterback to play because Drake May has a bye week. So hopefully that makes your decision easy. But Herbert's actually questionable, so we'll see what happens. That would be hilarious if you had to pick up a tight end. Then up, we've got the Queen, Hannah, bench your people. And taking on Carlos. Carlos is fighting for a playoff spot right now, projected to win 110-109. Very close matchup there. Carlos needs to win, and several people need to lose in order for for Carlos to make the playoffs. Hannah, you just need to win, and you're not last place. If you lose, like I said, things get interesting. The last matchup of the week, the final matchup of the regular season, Sean taking on Mike. 2 7 and 6 teams. 2 teams historically who have made the playoffs, and we have one of these teams potentially on the verge of not making the playoffs. Win, you're in. Lose, you may still be in, but that's what we're going to go through now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look real quick. So you got to take into account the points for. So when we're talking seeding, Brandon has scored 1,565 on the year. That's the highest. Matt has the same record, but 1444 for points scored. Interestingly enough, Sean actually has more points scored than Matt does, with 1453. So Sean, you're actually sitting in a pretty good spot. If you lose, you'll be 7-7. If Greg wins at 7-7, he's like 60 points behind you. So you just need to score the same or slightly more than Sean or than Greg, or just even a little less, and you would still make the playoffs. Mike has scored 1,432, so it gets a little bit closer. Mike, if you lose, you could still make it if Greg wins. You just have to score. Right now, you have a 40-point total season lead over Greg. Carlos, you need to have a lot of things happen. You have a 22% chance to win, so you need to beat Steven. That would eliminate Steven. Steven, you're basically eliminated. But that would put you at 7-7. If Mike lost, you would both be 7-7. If Greg lost, he would be eliminated. So you need to win. You need Greg to lose. You need Mike to lose. And you need to try to score 50 more points than Mike does on Sunday. It's very interesting. We've got a lot of stuff on the line. A very exciting time for us indeed. Okay, so let's go to the prop bets real quick. The week 13 prop bet was the tightest end. It went to the highest scoring tight end. And Brandon, I thought it was you, and I was bitter again because it seemed to be good luck to play me, but it actually wasn't. Your tight end got you 18.2 points, but the final tight end, or no, I don't know when they played. All I know is, Michael, you can Venmo yourself, buddy, because your tight end had 20.2 points. Old Brock Bowers with 20.3 points. So that was the highest scoring tight end. I even started 2 tight ends to see if I could win, and they both got me. If you added both their scores up, they were less than Michael's. So thanks a lot. All right, so that was the week 13. So congrats to Michael, first prop bet victory of the year. Our final prop bet, week 14 is going to be the Was That Due Today? And it is the team with the lowest score compared to their pregame projection. That's probably going to be me. I promise you when the season started, and just so you guys can see, on September 4th, can you see that? September 4th, I emailed myself all of the prop bets, and you can see them all right here. Screenshot it, zoom in on the screen. September 4th, I sent that to myself, and that's what I had. So the winning team this week, you don't even have to win the game. It's just the team with the lowest score compared to their pre-game projection. Now, let's have a little bit of honor on this, because you need to be trying to win. The only ones, I mean, honestly, no one should be. Steven technically is the only one that could skirt Steven and Dan. But Dan and Steven could probably win this without even trying to win it. But yeah, you guys have to start your best players. You can't be unintentionally playing the wrong person. Okay, that is it. That is our, 18 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys. There's a lot coming down to this one. So anyways, enjoy your weeks. Check your lineups. There's a lot of crazy games lining up here, so it should be a very exciting final week. The calendar should be interesting. I mean, honestly, I feel like I should do like not an honor killing of myself in fantasy, but like, it's kind of weird if we're in a 12-person league and everyone gets a calendar of my sister. So Hannah, I might just take one for the team. I'm going to say that I'm losing on purpose, but in reality, I can't buy a win. But yeah, maybe best for everyone if the calendar is me and not you. It just gets weird, maybe. But yeah, I'm still going to actually try not to be in last place because that's humiliating. All right. Well, have a great night. Farewell.